Well, we're beginning chapter 6, and I just want to point out, in the last chapter, when I discussed this, I said that this was a shadow, but the sun is coming from the right, shadows are on the left, so this cannot be a shadow. This is another form here. This is probably another craft here, and we may have another craft here, here. And I just want to point out that we have these, what I believe are energy weapons, by their emplacement. They seem to be placed here to defend this area, just as the others that we have seen seem to be placed for a purpose. And they're all pointing in the same general direction. This may be a disguised craft. This may be here for a purpose. We've got objects that are manufactured. This is probably another energy weapon right here. This appears to be a building. And you can see that there is structure to it. And there's another structure back here. You can see the verticals, the horizontals. And you can see that there's more structure up in here. And this is probably a craft right here. The dome at one end. And we've got an object here, another metal dome. There's a Martian here. We've got a craft here. There's a Martian here. Very blurry, but you can see head, dark top, gray pants. There's another object here, another object behind it. There's another object here. There's a leaner, and there are the large eyes. So there is a leaner, and there's another form behind it. And here's that iron dome. And there's another dome here. So I think of this as bookend domes. Very obvious craft. There's a Martian here. Black top, gray pants. There's a Martian here. Black top, gray pants. And there's probably a second right here. Black top, gray pants. There's one in the distance. Very, very small image, but black top, gray pants. Even at this reduced size, we can see them. And there might be another here. There's one here for sure. Dark top, gray pants. May have a couple behind this object. Now, before we get to the Gonzo craft itself, we just want to look at this area because there are many forms in here. You can see the ones that are parked on the hillside. There are many. So, see here. They're parked every which way. Here, here, here. There are two here. There's one. It's a larger one. There's another here. Very long one. Parked right here. And you'll notice that there are Martians around these craft. And there are many of these craft. There's a Martian back here. Another craft back here. Now here's another one of those tinted objects. We've already encountered a number of these, and there'll be more yet. And this, I believe, is an energy weapon, and this is a different installation than the ones that we've seen up to this point. So, the next area of interest, this object right here, which I call the Gonzo craft. Now, here's the Gonzo craft in context. This is a craft in the back, and I believe that this is not a living creature. This is all metal, and the base contains the flying apparatus. I believe that this is a parked flying craft that has been built in the shape of a Gonzo. You can see another peaked mound here. There's a form. There's what appears to be a holographic screen here. There's a face. But there's a male. He's tall. Got a bit of a paunch. This is a female. Shoulder, arm. You can see her body down to this object here. The male is on the other side of the top edge of this craft. There's her head, there's his head, and in the back you can see a whole group of Martians back here. There are two Martians right here, just on the other side of this curve of the craft. Head, neck, and the upper back and right shoulder. These are two grays, Martian grays, not the archetypical grays. They don't appear to be clothed. And there's the head of a Martian here, a gray, and this is his left front shoulder. That's the top of his left shoulder. And then the image is broken up right along this vertical by this holographic screen, and you can see the face here in this screen. There's also a portion of a face here. This is the right eye, cheek. May even be an external ear. But here you can see the two Martians. This is a very brawny Martian gray. Now there's a form here, there's a form here, little splash of color. There's an object here, which is part of this craft, I believe. And there's an object here. Perhaps it's parked in a kind of a framework, the way we park bicycles. And there's a form here. So that is the Gonzo craft. You can see that this is all metal, rectangular, rounded rectangular base, and everything is the same color. The craft, the upper section and the lower section is all the same color. I said in the introduction that I would provide evidence that many of these mounds are parked here and that they are mobile. And here we have evidence of a mound that has moved to its present location, could even be in motion at the time that the picture was taken, but it has moved to this point. You see that there is an apparatus here, looks like iron cross tie, but it protrudes from under a cover, and you can see that after this mound moved through this area, this scraped path, this object set down on that path. This is a craft of some sort. And we also have this object, which appears to be on a portion of that pathway. So this object too was placed after the mound passed. This is auto contrast and auto tone. Down here we have a living creature. We have a living creature here. Here. Probably another here. Here there's a snake. Here there's, I keep calling these fossils. It's probably technically not correct, but there's a skeleton, the remains of a skeleton here, and this may be a line of vertebrae. You can also see this sculpture somewhat better. There's the mouth, there's the eye, here's the nose. You can see that it comes up like a dinosaur head. The mouth even appears to have teeth. Now, before we finish with this area, I just want to point out that there appears to be a craft here, and there's a blurriness associated with it. So I wonder if this craft is actually in motion, or was in motion at the time this image was taken. And similarly, there appears to be a craft here, and there's a blurriness associated with it. Now, also, take a look at this shape. These mounds, some of these mounds seem to have a characteristic shape. And I just want to back up just a bit to point out we've got this large opening cut into the side of the mountain here, and we've got the same scraping of the ground here, which ends just behind this mound. So I wonder if this mound has moved along this track. Now, also in this area, I want to examine this section up here. We haven't spent much time looking at the ridge line. I just want to point out that we've got these cannon-like structures. There's one here, and here there are a half dozen sticking out from underneath this portion of the ridge. This, I think, may be a building, and I'm going to show you another building with this shape in the next chapter. But here too, we appear to have buildings. Perhaps back here also, there are right angles. And there are other things in this image also. I don't know what to make of them, but I suspect that there are craft parked up in here also. His face.